right, welcome back. So today we've got the Fireteam on the bench, blowing out bearing, motor falling apart. We're gonna get this thing fixed back up and get it back out there. But I want to look at this bearing because I've never had an Arrma bearing fail before. I don't know why it did. A lot of people were saying that their Italians were doing the same thing, and maybe it's because it's Italian hub. I just don't know. I've never had, I don't own Italian, so I have Mojaves, Creighton's, Outcast, stuff like that, Typhon, but I don't have Italian, so I don't know why this one failed. But so when I don't want to damage something, I'll put the wheel back on. I don't have the right wrench on the bench right now. That sounded like it had Loctite in it. Don't have my tools organized yet. So yeah, a lot of Loctite in that. That's why it's holding on so good. And then I'll have to unscrew one of those. Some people were saying, Earl, you know, it's not fair that that these are all easy fixes, that you can throw Loctite in there. You know how to work on the RC. You know, why are you showing this? Why are you trying to make Arrma look bad? Arrma, you know, Arrma's doing great things for the RC community, and you're basically telling people not to get involved in the hobby. That I'm scaring away newcomers to the hobby because I'm showing them all this bad stuff. And I'm like, man, you know, that's what I'm trying to save, is I'm trying to save a new person coming into this hobby, buying an RC from Arrma, having quality issues. I don't know how people can't see that. Arrma's a great, I've never said that this is a bad platform. We know Arrma builds their designs, the way things are, you know, designed, and the way we run them, they can take a beating. And that's why they have the motto, don't just bash, blast, is because they know that their product will stand up once it's assembled right. The problem is getting it assembled right. You know, that's where Arrma struggles. And, you know, when you're a new person to the hobby, and you buy a ready to run, you know, you don't know how to wrench yet. I know when I first started, I didn't know how to put these RCs together, or it was kind of intimidating. So, that's where my problem lies, is that I had to learn, and I had to learn how to work on them, and I had to learn how to work on them quickly because they, you know, kept breaking. I kept crashing them. Some people were saying that the way I took it out and I was beating it up, what do I expect? Here's the thing. I don't expect the bearing to fall apart from the inside. All the ball bearings are gone. You can tell by the size of the bearing. See how big that is? That's not going to support that. And that's the problem that Trax has had, and that's why RPM made a bigger bearing. Something with some girth on the side. Something, you know, thicker. When the bearing gets real thin like this, the ball bearings and stuff can't take some of the impacts. And that's what we noticed on the rear of the X-Max and sometimes on the front of the X-Max. But that's a really thin, skinny bearing, and that's going to continue to blow out. So let me see if I have some of those bearings. I don't think I've ever had to change a bearing on an Arrma like that. At least, I don't even know if I even have that size bearing. I might, because it's the same size as my Traxxas bearing. And that's why it's blowing out. This is a bearing I have for a Traxxas. Those are Traxxas slash bearings that I bought for most of my Traxxas speed builds. So that bearing, I have a feeling, is going to continue to fail, but it is a better bearing now. I've never had problems with Arrma's shielded bearings, and I think this comes with sealed bearings. So it is an easy fix, you know. But like a lot of people, when it comes to these bearings, when they blow out like that, for one, they probably wouldn't catch it. Being a new person to the hobby that just went in and bought this Fireteam, and they're out ripping it because they've watched some videos showing that this thing could, you know, go fully airborne and not have an issue. Or even if they don't see a video, they go out and start running it, they'll probably baby it for a while. I know I hit curbs and, you know, destroyed a couple RCs right from buying it from the hobby store. My DHKs that I bought from hobby people back in the day, I came home and I was ripping those things. They never fell apart. Now they did have some electronics issues. I want to say out of the box, I had one that I don't know what happened to it, but it just would not like sync up to my radio anymore. And so I took it to back to hobby people, and they didn't really know what the issue was. So they put a receiver in it, and it still didn't work. I think that one's got a bad ESC. So I wanted to play, so I thought I did something wrong, so I bought another one. And that's why I have two of those DHK Maximus. I was literally having a blast on a weekend. Went in and bought one because it was in the display. And I was out ripping my DHK. And it stopped working, and I was disappointed. I didn't have much time. Like I said, I was building race cars at the time. And I was going to be out of town, so I wanted to play with the kids. So I bought a DHK. And it broke, so I just went back and bought another one. And then that one started having issues. So at that point, I put them on the shelf, and I stopped playing. And it took me, I want to say 10 years before, no, 7 years before I even touched another RC, which is sad. And that's my point, is that I'm trying to show people what you get out of the box, because there are RCs you can get that aren't going to have the quality issues, like the assembly issues. If parts fail, parts fail. I mean, you know, if it's not designed right, it's not designed right. You know, you can't fault the RC. But then you got the ones like Arrma's doing that are designed right, but the assembly is terrible. So what ends up happening is, I don't know why this thing won't go with these pins. It's a great RC. The problem is that we don't get to see it because it's constantly falling apart. Screws are falling out, things are falling out, and it's driving us crazy. I don't know why that is so tight in there. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because the pin should just slip through. But I don't know. Yeah, you can see there's Loctite on that one. And I can't push this pin through this. Should push through nice and easy. Grab some Loctite. There we go. That issue is solved. New bearing in it. Now, is the bearing going to last? I don't know. That's just I think a design flaw right there. Hopefully it was just a bad bearing. I don't know if my really got to look and see if they use this bearing in the Outcast or the Creighton. I would imagine they wouldn't have changed the bearing size for the Italian, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm just showing you what's failing. It's hard to say why. I know I didn't have an impact to this wheel. I did have a bunch of impacts to this bumper. I did hit a bunch of stuff out there, so I wasn't really too concerned about a bearing. I was more concerned with this motor falling out, which sucks because that would strip out pinions and other things if I didn't catch it. So I got to go to the car. I got to get the screw, the one screw I do have. I'm going to try to match it up with screws that I have. So be right back. All right. So here's the one screw that fell out. Now somebody was saying It's got Loctite on it. It does not. This section right here, because it was hanging out, this is dust and dirt. This isn't Loctite. I know what Loctite looks like, and Loctite will fill the threads, not just coated in the gray dust and dirt from California. So here's a little mobile case that when I go drag racing and stuff that I have. We'll see if we can get, I think I'm missing two fell out that I never found. So there's one. This is just hardware from cars I've scrapped, builds I've done on the Limitlesses, repairs I've done to RCs, and hardware that I've bought over time. I just kind of tossed it all in here. It was all these little leftover screws I had from builds. So I just kind of tossed all the stuff after I'm done with the build of the stuff I just don't need. Because I've been wrenching on it so long now. Or I've been doing wrenching so long now. That'll work right there. That over time you end up with a collection of parts, especially when you start scrapping RCs. RCs that I just get rid of. Alright, so we need red Loctite for this, not blue. I used blue on the other one. These are all easy fixes, but I shouldn't have to do it for an RC I just purchased that I haven't even wrenched on. Somebody was saying you got to check all this hardware, and I did. What I did was I did what I call a nut and bolt check. I literally just put a wrench on all these Allen heads to make sure that they're not loose. It's what I call a nut and bolt check. I'm just checking, not pulling them out. I'm just checking to make sure that they're not loose, that they have some sort of torque. Oh, that might be a little too much. I don't want to have to fight getting this thing out. But I'd rather have more Loctite than not enough. Or not any. Now, because I have the screws, my downtime would be minimal. But for those who are just getting into the hobby that don't have this stuff or the tools to fix it, or they're trying to use just the tools that Arrma gives you in the bag, they would most likely have stripped out the spur, possibly broken the diff. Definitely the drive shafts are bent. We've already seen that. So at this point, they would have taken it to a hobby shop and paid them to fix this thing, because now the RC's all beat up. And I ran it hard, no doubt. I'd be blaming myself for the issues that happened here. Now knowing that it's a Arrma thing, it's just a quality control issue. Now, what I meant by a nut and bolt check, what I do is I just stick this on here. You see how that was loose? That's what I mean. I just, before I went out, I put a little turn to all these screws, making sure, that's got rocks in it, that everything was tight before I went out. Just to make sure Arrma didn't accidentally overlook something. That's what I mean by a nut and bolt check. I'm not going to pull every screw out and check it. I don't know what needs Loctite and what doesn't at this point. Looking at a consumer aspect or doing a review, I'm just trying to give it the best possible chance. Is I'll stick, you know, this in here, just check. See how that's loose? Which that wasn't loose before, because I checked it. But that's what I mean by a nut and bolt check. I'll just go through that and make sure that everything is okay. That it's not going to fall out or fall apart when I'm running. And I really don't think RTR, you should have to do that at all. Like we always say, safety third. It's going to be the motto for this RC. But I hadn't posted a video in all week. I've been super busy at work. I haven't even had time to look at this thing or put it back together. I knew it was going to be a busy week at work, and that's why I decided to just take this thing out and go give it a rip. So I'm going to get it cleaned up. I'm going to get it back together. I will be ripping some RC probably later today, but I do have some wrenching I need to do. So I'm going to get all my wrenching done. We're going to get this thing back out, do some more rips with it. And I'm sure over time it'll be a good RC. But, you know, out of the box for $800, I shouldn't have screws falling out. That's all I'm saying. Bearing blowing out that quick, I mean, it's possible. Doing impacts, anything's possible. Like I said, I've never had a bearing on an Arrma fail ever. And I've been beating them harder than I beat this RC any day. I've been beating them up for 3 years now. But there we go, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to try to do a couple videos a day over this weekend. And that way I have some content throughout next week. Hopefully next week's not a busy work week for me, and we can get back to doing more RC content. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.